I've been driving this classic Range Rover now as my daily driver for around 4,000 miles, which is a few months. And I believe I've tested it in different conditions, such as long journeys, short journeys, commuting, traffic, light off-road, on-road. And I think I'm now in a position to share my thoughts and feelings on the car, whereas I wouldn't have done that having not experienced it. In short, I love it. It's not going anywhere. I'm glad I spent my hard-earned money on it because I don't think I'd have got a better one for the money. And I do feel like I probably could make a profit on this car, and it's not something I'm interested in doing because I'm enjoying it. And that always comes first. So if you haven't already seen the initial video when I picked this thing up, feel free afterwards to go and watch it if you'd like to. However, it is a 89 Range Rover, Chamonix white, which initially I was looking for a green one, and I think now I'm glad that I found this one sort of by accident, because I actually really like this colour, and it's something that sort of stands out and a lot of people mention as well. So it's grown on me a lot, and I'm really happy with the sort of general aesthetic of the car. I did remove the chrome trim, which was something someone had added previously I didn't really like, and sort of just reconditioned the plastics with some carbon collective stuff, which really does the job. It's really good stuff. However, the sort of general look of the car, as I mentioned, the road style wheels are definitely staying. I believe they really suit the car. It's just that classic Range Rover look, which is what I really sort of like. I don't really like to sort of add alloy wheels and stuff to these. The 3 spokes are pretty cool, but I like these, they're staying. Down the side of the car, this one has no side trim. I'm not sure if that's something that's been done or if it was just this way from the factory, but I do really like that because I think it sort of harps back to the original classic 3-door. So the earlier cars have this kind of look, and I think that's what I wanted when I got one. Interior wise, it's got the grey teddy bear interior, which is, again, it's extremely comfortable. I couldn't ask for anything more really. It's very basic, but I might make some small changes, but we'll discuss that as we get into it. Transmission wise, it is a 200 TDI, which is a 2.5 diesel from a Discovery 1, and the LT77 transmission to suit. Excellent engine, apparently bomb proof and lasts forever according to Land Rover people. Again, we'll discuss that as we get into a drive, because there are things. Overall, as I said, I really love the car, but it does have some shortcomings, and as does everything really. So one of the features I really love about this car, the drop tailgate. For this reason alone really, it's extremely practical. It's comfortable if you want to stop anywhere and sit down. The general sort of feeling I get from this car is a lot more relaxed than what I get from, say, my M3, which I enjoy just to go out and drive. I do enjoy driving this, but in a different way. However, what I really appreciate about this car is it allows me to sort of enjoy mountain biking and other sort of outdoor activities, whereas trying to use my other cars for that sort of took some of the enjoyment out of the experience. So I'm very grateful to this thing for giving me that without stress, and that's one of the key things that I like about this. So I think we will go out for a bit of a drive and we'll see sort of the driving dynamic and some other details. Living with a Range Rover, all I can say really so far is that I've really enjoyed it. As I mentioned, I've done sort of 4,000 miles of mixed driving in mixed weathers. I feel like I've had a good test of what the car's really about, and I'd say if you were going to compare it to a modern Range Rover, that of course it lacks refinement, and you know, it doesn't have the same sort of level of isolation and luxury as a modern Range Rover. But if you're buying a classic Range Rover expecting it to be a modern Range Rover, then more the fool you really. I think it offers enough.
You know, it offers something that those cars don't in terms of nostalgia, and I think to drive something old is just cool. I enjoy it. Other people seem to enjoy it. It seems to put a smile on people's faces. As much as I don't really so much care what other people think, if it makes someone happy, then I'm happy. In terms of driving dynamic, I guess you could. Some people say that they don't handle well, which I think is unfair, really, because if you are judging it as a sports car, yes, it doesn't handle well. It's, I guess, somewhere around 1900 kilograms, which is fairly light compared to a modern Range Rover, but still fairly heavy. The wheels are, they're fairly narrow in comparison to what you get on a modern Range Rover or a sports car. So the all-terrain tyres are fairly narrow, and it's four-wheel drive, so being permanent four-wheel drive, if you push it into a corner, it will understeer. But like I said, that's a pretty unfair way to judge this type of vehicle. If you drive it off-road, it's famed for being very capable and handling very well. So I guess if you were to say, as an off-road and on-road for general driving car, it handles well. It does what it's supposed to do. As I said, it can understeer, but it's kind of just telling you that you're pushing it a bit too much on the road. One thing that is bothering me at the moment, this car does not have air conditioning, and we're currently in a heat wave in the UK, so nice, yeah. Pretty sweaty right now, and it would be nice, but I've looked into it and it's possible to sort of retrofit parts, because they were available with air conditioning, but this model does not have it. And I'm considering it, but if the heat wave is going to last, if it's going to come back next year, I'll consider it at that point, because it's quite likely, being the UK, that most of the year it's cold, and most of the time I drive with the window down, and it's currently only really up for purpose of filming, so you get a bit of forced draft from the ventilation on the bonnet and stuff. So I don't know, is it the end of the world? In terms of interior, as I said, it's comfortable. You can drive it for a long time and not get stressed and get out of the bad back. One thing I want to do is to replace the door speakers, because one of them's not working. I do like the rear speakers are up at height, so you kind of get a little bit of surround sound kind of effect. It comes into the cab from behind, which is quite cool. I may update the head unit, I'm not sure. You're fairly limited. It's a single DIN unit only, so that's one issue, and it's also quite a low insertion depth, so really you're limited to sort of mechless head units only, and then you're looking at sort of options for CarPlay and those kind of things, because if you're going to modernise it, you might as well do so in a useful way. We'll look into it. I've got something I'm looking at. I'd say overall, if you are looking to buy something like this, you need to be quite handy with the spanners and stuff. I've only had to replace a power steering belt and a auxiliary or alternator belt so far. I don't know how old they were. The car wasn't really being used a whole lot when I bought it, so they might have been sat for a while without being replaced. But I actually enjoyed doing it. There's plenty of space in the engine bay that doesn't have all these plastic trims and all the stress of those braking, and it's literally M8 bolts, and so you just get a 13mm and do it all yourself, tension it yourself. I kind of enjoy working on it. So from that aspect, it's something. Obviously, you need to be confident to be able to do it yourself. Otherwise, I guess you're going to be paying someone to do so, and it's that point where it kind of can sometimes take the enjoyment out of ownership, I guess. In terms of the driveline, the 200 TDI makes the power low mid-range, I'd say. There's a flat spot right at the bottom before it comes on boost, so nothing really you can do about that. But in terms of the boost itself is in the lower to mid-range, and that's perfect for general driving really. So it's quite a small turbo. It delivers enough sort of shove to move this fairly large unaerodynamic vehicle around, and it does so pretty well, I think. Where it fails, I think, really is sort of when you get to like 60 mile an hour, it runs out of shove really. As I said, it's quite a small turbo. So I've been sent out some parts from a company called Forby, and they do quite a fair range of Land Rover parts, but sort of seem to focus on tuning really and off-road. So what they've sent me is a boost pin, a boost ring and a boost controller. So if you don't know, the boost pin itself goes in the fuel pump and sort of actuates the governor in the fuel pump, and the boost ring attaches to the fuel pump also. There's like a spacer, and obviously a boost controller is to sort of basically cheat the solenoid to think it's not making enough boost to keep the wastegate shut for a little bit longer, just to up the boost level a little bit. And apparently that is good for a 30 to 40% increase in power, which is pretty significant. So I am going to be making a video on that, and I'm not going to put it on a dyno or anything, because I think what's more important is giving a true sort of real life experience. I know where this lacks, and like I said, it's the sort of the higher speed and big hills. It just runs out of grunt, and that's what's important. I think it's not really a numbers car. The horsepower numbers, it doesn't matter. The drivability is what matters, is what I'm getting at really. So if you'd like to see that video, be sure to stick around, of course. I've also got some boost gauges from Stack, a boost gauge and an EGT gauge, should I say. I'd like to monitor the EGT, because a lot of people, when they tune these things, they turn them up until the smoke and then knock it back a little bit, which, you know, I mean, in theory it works, but I'd much rather be monitoring my exhaust gas temperatures and see that the engine temperature is not too hot, it's not going to melt pistons, it's not over boosting. So I like to monitor the boost as well, and I think it's a little bit more of an accurate way, and it reduces the risk of diesel run-on, which is not a pleasant experience either. So if you'd like to see those things, be sure to check back. But overall, living with a Range Rover, what can I say? I love it. So, something I would like to address, I don't really like doing this, but I've noticed from the analytics that 88% of people that watch these videos are not subscribed, and it would sort of help if you do enjoy them, if you would subscribe, because it just helps to reach more people. So, as I said, don't really like doing this, but if you enjoy this, feel free to hit the subscribe button, to like or to leave a comment. I do try to sort of reply to everything, and hopefully we'll see you next time.